No, and I can understand why the EU would love the United Kingdom to stay in the customs union as a solution to the made-up problem that they've got along the Irish border. In fact, we suspect that one of the reasons why they made such a big issue of the Irish border is because precisely they wanted to keep the United Kingdom within the customs union. We would not support that. And the reason why we wouldn't support it is that one of the reasons why we wanted to leave the EU was to have the freedom to do trade deals with countries around the world where we believed there were economic opportunities which didn't exist with being part of the customs union of the EU. Because don't forget, the EU is a very protectionist trading bloc. And because of that, opportunities which could have been had with India, China, a lot of other expanding economies around the world were missed out on. And we believe that one of the reasons for getting out of the customs union is to be able to exploit those opportunities and to break free of the kind of protectionist bloc that the EU is.
I want to just give you a slight thought experiment here, and you may not welcome it, but if the Europeans continue to insist that the withdrawal agreement cannot be renegotiated, there cannot be changes to the backstop, and we end up with a situation where there is no deal by March 29th. Legally, the UK leaves the European Union, and there will have to be some kind of border between Northern Ireland and the Republic. Why is that not the case in your view?
Well, it's not the case because already the EU have guaranteed the Irish government that there will be no border in the event of us leaving with no deal. Well, let me just use the words of the chief negotiator of the EU, who only this week has said that they would have to look at operational ways of controlling trade while not having physical checks. And he said that he had a team working on it at present. And these are the two things he mentioned. That first of all, they would look at paperless solutions. In other words, they would look at electronic means of capturing the records and trade. And they would look at decentralisation. In other words, they would look at either checking goods at the point of departure or the point of arrival away from the border. Now, those are things that we have been arguing for the last 2 years should be done. Now the EU are saying they would embrace them in the event of a no deal. We're saying, look, it's not more sensible to embrace them and make it part of a deal.
Now, I know you don't speak for the government, but you are a partner of the party that is in government, essentially. And I want to ask you this. We've heard from a number of government representatives this morning. They've been unable to explain what these alternative arrangements would be that are part of Graham Brady's amendment that was passed with a majority last night. Do you have any clear way of explaining to our viewers what those could consist of?
I do have. And I mean, the first thing is that we're saying to give comfort to the EU and to give comfort to the Irish that there should be a legally binding protocol in respect of Northern Ireland that none of the parties to the agreement would ever erect a hard border. And then secondly, that there would be a menu of means by which that could be achieved. And including the kind of paperless solution which the EU say they're looking at present, including decentralisation, i.e. looking at checks away from the border, including the trusted trader status, which is already in operation anyway for goods crossing the border where taxes have to be collected currently because of excise differences, VAT differences, sales tax differences in your language. And so there's a whole range of things which have been looked at and put forward in the past, which have been rejected by the EU.
So if you were to ascribe motives for that, why did they reject them, do you think?
I think that the reason why they rejected them was because they saw the Irish border issue and the way in which they presented the Irish border issue as a way of keeping Britain in both the customs union and the single market. That was really their objective. They didn't want Britain to be free, to be able to be a competitor on the world stage. And unfortunately, the Prime Minister fell for it. The House of Commons wouldn't accept it, and she's now having to go back to renegotiate it.
Do you think Leo Varadkar believes that the reason they want this backstop in place in the form that it has right now is to stop Britain from being a player on the world stage?
I believe that Leo Varadkar has been used by the EU and has also, for his internal domestic politics reasons, where he's having to compete with Sinn Féin, had to make the border a big issue. And it's now, of course, coming back on the Irish government. There's a degree of panic because if we leave without no deal, the Irish economy will suffer very, very seriously, given that 50% of their exports go to GB, and they would then find barriers between GB and themselves with very high tariffs because it's mostly agricultural goods that they export to Britain. So, you know, we're looking at a solution. We don't want to damage the Irish economy. It's the economy next door to us. We want to see them prospering. And I believe that what happened in the House of Commons last night, if parties take a sensible approach, then we can get through this. And indeed, you know, I would just point out to you that the previous administration in the Irish Republic took the same view as we did, that we should try and find the easiest ways possible for dealing with cross-border trade. When the new administration took over, then suddenly the whole attitude changed.
We had the national chairman of the Federation of Small Businesses on earlier this morning, and he said that his members had essentially made it clear they wanted at least 2 months' notice if there's going to be no deal. Do you think that yourself, your party, other lawmakers in this building behind us have lived up to their responsibility to business owners in the United Kingdom?
I think we have, because first of all, it was always known, it's been known since the withdrawal agreement or the withdrawal bill went through, that 29th of March would be the date in which we were leaving. It's been known now for at least 6 months that this withdrawal agreement was not going anywhere, and we were probably heading towards a situation, if there was no response from the EU, that we'd be leaving without a deal. And you know, it's not only the people in the House of Commons and the House of Lords and the government who have to take some responsibility for this, because of course, if we finish up with no deal, it will be because the European Union played a part in that as well by being unwilling to compromise.
One final incredibly quick yes or no question. If this deal comes back in 2 weeks' time, there have been no substantial changes to the backstop, will the DUP vote it down?
We will.
Hi, I'm Joanna Bersecci, and thank you for watching. You can check out more of our videos by clicking on the boxes on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more from CNBC International. Thank you for watching.